Okay. So we are live now, and as usual, we'll start the session with Mangalacharan. We'll try to invoke some auspiciousness, and we will offer our obeisances to our spiritual masters and the Guru Parampara of ISKCON, and then we will move on, and then I'll tell you the agenda for today. So those who know these mantras can just chant along with me while remaining on mute, and those who don't know, please try to listen to it very carefully, because listening is also very, very purifying. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरविषे नमः। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघते गिरि यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणम्। परमानंद माधवम श्री चैतन्य ईश्वरम। हरि ओम तत्सत। Okay. So agenda for today will be we'll be covering three shlokas today. Okay, as I said earlier. So we left at shloka number 9 last to last week. So we'll covering 10, 11, and 12 today. Okay, of chapter 2. And these all are very, very important shlokas. Even in the forthcoming week, like the next week, if we are going to conduct the classes, then in that scenario also we'll be covering three shlokas, and those three shlokas are also very, very important shlokas. Actually, from now onwards, each and every shloka of Bhagavad Gita is very important. But we are just trying to, uh, summarize, and out of those all the important shlokas, we are trying to, pull in some, very, very important ones as well. Okay. So uh, let me share my screen. Ashwarya Mataji has said that she's only going to be in the listening mode. I think Ashwini Mataji will also be in the listening mode. So Shweta Mataji, will you be able to read? Then both of us can, just read the 2-3 shlokas. Hare Krishna. Are you all able to hear me? Uh, Ashwini Mataji, Shweta Mataji, Aishwarya Mataji, can you please confirm if you are able to hear me by raising your hands? Okay. So I was not able to hear you, but yeah, it's okay. Good. Okay. Okay, you can put down your hands now. Thanks. Let me share my screen. Yes. So Shweta Mataji, will you be able to read or?
Yes, Prabhuji. Shloka
Okay.
number 2.10, right?
Yeah, 2.10. Just a second. So you just have to read the shloka and the translation.
Yeah.
Purport will be the most important points. We'll touch upon that. Yeah.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Tam uvacha hrishikesha प्रहसन्निव भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये विषिदन्तमिदं वचः. Translation: O descendant of Bharata, at that time Krishna, smiling in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna.
Arjun. Very nice, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
We will see the explanation now. So this is an important verse. Like in the last session, if you can recall, that Arjun had said that he will not fight, and he just put down his Gandiva bow and he just sat on the chariot. Okay, and he said that, "Oh Krishna, I am not going to fight." So hearing this, Dhritarashtra was very happy, right? And he said that he thought in himself, like that. Uh, okay, this is a good sign. Arjun is not willing to fight, and very soon, most probably, all the Pandavas will decide the same way, and they will simply hand over the kingdom to the sons of Dhritarashtra, the Kauravas, right? But Sanjay, who was a very loyal servant of Dhritarashtra at that time, he spoke a few verses, and like in an indirect way, he tried to indicate that Krishna is the Rishikesha. He is the controller of the senses of all the living entities, and he will very soon like dispel all the doubts and all the illusion which is there in the mind of Arjun at this point of time. And very soon Arjun will fight again, and there is absolutely no chance of victory for the sons of Dhritarashtra. So he's trying to dispel the illusion from Dhritarashtra's mind, basically, Sanjay, okay, by talking something or indirectly hinting at certain things. Okay. So we'll see that in this verse what is happening now. Okay, so we saw that in this particular verse, let me bring it up again. So there are a couple of important words here. Sorry, Vishidantam. Okay, so this Vishidantam means one who is lamenting, and this word has also come in one of the previous verses. If you can recall, it was in the first verse of the second chapter also. Okay, this Vishidantam means someone who is lamenting, and who is that personality here? It's Arjun. Okay, and second thing is, now what we have seen, that this word Rishikesha, okay, and Rishikesha is a very important term, like we have used it in several places, and we will see the importance of that. But before that, I would like to touch upon one another word which is there in this shloka, which is Prahasanniva. Okay, Prahasanniva means smiling. Okay, so why would someone smile? Okay, so just imagine the situation that Arjun is lamenting, and Krishna, who is the friend of Arjun, and very like just a few verses before he has taken up the role of the guru of Arjun, he is now smiling. Okay, so we have to understand the sweetness of Krishna in this particular verse. Okay, the sweetness of Krishna is such that he is always ready to take up any position which the devotee desires. Okay, for example, if some devotee wants Krishna to be his friend, he will take up the position of the friend. If some devotee wants Krishna to be his parent or his father, he will immediately take up the position of the father. If some devotee wants Krishna to be their son, so he takes up the position of the son. If some devotee wants Krishna to be their lover, he takes the position of the lover. Similarly, he also becomes husband of some devotees. Okay, so we have seen, in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, that there are different rasas in which a devotee can engage with Krishna. Okay, so these roles basically Krishna takes up, like depending upon the mood of the devotee. Okay, so he also became the charioteer of Arjuna, right? So in this case, in this verse, we see that not in this verse only, in the entire Bhagavad Gita, we have seen, right, that Krishna, like Arjun, wanted Krishna to be his friend, so he took up the position of the friend first, And then in the seventh verse of the second chapter, when Arjun surrenders unto Krishna and wants him to be the guru, wants him to be his guru, he has taken up the role of a guru. Okay, and now he's smiling because he's thinking that look at the situation. Okay, a friend has become my disciple now. Okay, so thinking these things, he is actually smiling, and very soon also, because he's going to dispel all the doubts which is there in the mind of Arjun. So he's just looking at him that okay, he's lamenting for something which is very very immaterial. Okay, and it might be seemingly it might be very big thing for Arjun, but once he starts speaking and once all the doubts are being dispelled from Arjun's mind, Arjun, as well as all the readers of the Bhagavad Gita or all the people who are hearing the Bhagavad Gita, right, they will also realize that that was a very, like a small thing on which Arjun was lamenting. Okay. So this is the importance of Prahasannima. Okay. Now coming to Rishikesha. So as I said earlier, that this word Rishikesha has been used in several other verses, right? And we all know that Rishikesha means controller of the senses of all the living entities. Okay. So since Krishna is the controller of the senses of all the living entities, he is known as Rishikesha. Okay. So, and why does Krishna control the senses of all these living entities? For their own benefit. Krishna is not going to gain anything. Krishna is Atmaram. Okay, he is being served by hundreds and thousands of Lakshmis in the Vaikunthas and in the Golok Vrindavan, right? He doesn't need anything. He even doesn't need the services of those Lakshmis or the goddesses of fortune. Okay, he is Atmaram. He is self-satisfied by himself only. Okay, but just for the benefit of the devotees, just for the sake of the ultimate good of the devotees, actually he controls someone who surrenders unto Krishna. Then he starts taking the charge of their lives. He starts controlling the senses. Okay, for their own good. Okay, so here also the word Rishikesha actually it indicates that Krishna has now taken up the position of a guru. Okay, and he will also control the senses of Arjun from this point on, and this will be for Arjun's own benefit, ultimate benefit, basically. Okay. So very important thing, like we can read from the purport also. This, let me bring it down. Yes. So it appears that a talk between the master and the disciple was openly exchanged in the presence of both the armies, so that all were benefited. Okay. So since Krishna is the Rishikesha, he is the controller of the senses of each and every living entity. So he spoke the Bhagavad Gita on the battlefield, that he will not just control the senses of Arjun, but to each and every single personality who was present there on the battlefield. Okay. So those people, like, who think that Bhagavad Gita is, meant for a special sect of people or special people belonging to one particular faith. No, that is not right. That is completely wrong conception. Bhagavad Gita is meant for everyone. Okay. Had it been the case that Krishna wanted Bhagavad Gita, to be, spoken only for Arjun or only for a special sect of, the people, okay, then he could have easily taken Arjun in a very secluded place, and personally he and very like some of the confidential people for whom the Bhagavad Gita had to be spoken, he would have done that. Okay, but here just look at him. He is just speaking this Bhagavad Gita, giving this divine knowledge on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where lakhs and lakhs of people are present. Okay, entire army of Kauravas is there, entire army of Pandavas is there, and he is giving this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita so that each and every single spirit soul which is present on that battlefield is benefited. And going forward, each and every person who is reading this Bhagavad Gita, they are also benefited, by this. Okay, so everyone should read. They, irrespective of the caste or creed or faith they belong. Okay, this Bhagavad Gita is helpful for everyone. It is not a sectarian book, and moreover, most importantly, it is not just a book or any other novel. Okay, it is the best life manual for humanity. So each and everyone should take to it. They should read the Bhagavad Gita and they should try to implement the teachings of Bhagavad Gita in their day-to-day life. Okay, so this is the most important learning from this particular verse. Okay. So with that, we'll move ahead with the other verse, next verse. Ahead. Those of you who have any questions, please note them down. We will just take it towards the end. So now Krishna starts speaking. Okay, so I'll read this one, and then we'll see the next. Shri Bhagawanuvacha ashocyan anvashochyastvam pragyavadanschya bhashase gatasuna agatasunschya nanu shochanti panditaha. So the translation is, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Okay. So this is what we said, that once Krishna was smiling because he was aware of the fact that Arjun is lamenting for something which is very, very trivial. Okay, it is not worthy of any grief, right? This is what he is saying now. Those who are wise lament neither for living nor for the dead. So some very important concepts we will see in this particular verse. And oh, did I not share the screen?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay, let me share and then again we will read. Yes. So this is Shri Bhagavanuvacha ashocyan anvashochyastvam pragyavadanschya bhashase gatasuna agatasunschya nanu shochanti pandita. Which means the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking these learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for living nor for dead. Okay. So some important concepts we'll see here, and very, what to say, deep verse this is. Yeah. So as I said earlier, that Krishna is knowing that what Arjun is lamenting is not worthy of any grief. Okay. So one reason which Arjun had given earlier, if you can recall in the chapter 1 and even in the earlier part of chapter 2, for not fighting was that how can I kill my own relatives and own kinsmen? Okay, they are all my relatives. Someone is my guru, someone is my grandfather, someone is my brother, some people are friends or contemporaries of my father. How can I kill them? How can I even think of shooting arrows at the senior personalities like Bhishma and Dronacharya, right? So that means he was overwhelmed with compassion for his relatives, relatives and kinsmen. Okay, so Krishna starts speaking from this verse, and the most important thing about this particular verse is that from this particular verse number 11 to 30, chapter number 2, verse number 30, Krishna speaks to help Arjun to overcome the mood of this unwanted compassion. Okay, so unwanted compassion and the lamentation coming along with that. So these set of 11, verse number 11 to verse number 30, they will be like spoken by Krishna, and Krishna will actually give him the concept of soul and body and all different things, and we'll see starting from this particular verse. Okay, and Krishna says that here that you are lamenting for sons of Dhritarashtra who are not worthy for it. Okay, you are lamenting for things which are not worth lamenting for. Okay, and on top of that is that you are speaking like a learned person, a learned scholar. We have seen that Arjun was giving some arguments for not fighting, and at the same time he was quoting some verses and references from the Dharma Shastra, right? So that to back up his arguments, basically, right? So this is what Krishna is saying, that on one hand you are lamenting for people who are not worthy of it, and on the other hand you are speaking like a learned scholar by giving some nice references from the Shastras. Okay, so you are talking like a learned person, but actually you are not a learned person. That is what Krishna is actually hinting indirectly, that you are not a learned person, and Krishna is saying that a learned person is one who laments neither for a living body nor for a person who is dead. Okay, so we will just try to analyze this verse in a much deeper way, and we'll have some concepts. Okay, some good concepts are coming here. Okay, so Krishna is indirectly saying here that just because Arjun is giving references from the Shastra, it doesn't qualify or doesn't make him a learned person. Okay, so reading the Shastras just by by heart, or just mugging up the teachings and then speaking it in front of maybe 10 or 12 people is not something considered very learned. That person may not be considered very learned. Okay, until and unless you get to the teachings of those shlokas, you try to implement them in your day-to-day life. So then and only then one can be considered as a learned person. And in this case, Krishna was saying that Arjuna was not very learned. Why? Because he was lamenting for something which was not worthy for, and at the same time, he was quoting the references from the shlokas. So what is the use of such a knowledge? Okay, like you have read it, but then you don't know how to implement. You are lamenting for certain things which are, absolutely trivial. Okay. So a learned person or a pandita, what is saying Krishna, okay, is the one who neither laments for a body from which the life air has come out, dead, or a living body. So there are two words which Krishna is using here: gata sun, agata sunscha. Okay, gata sun and agata sun. So gata sun means the body from which life air has left. That means that particular body is dead now. Okay, and agata sun means the living thing, living body. Okay, so that's why in this particular shloka it is said that a wise person or a learned person laments neither for a living body, gatasun, so neither for a dead body, a gatasun, and neither for a living body, a gatasun. Okay, so this is one thing that we can directly interpret. But another important aspect here, which I would like to highlight, this can be understood in another way also, which is the concept of soul, subtle body, gross body, and the relationship between the three of them. Okay, so if and this entire in the Bhagavad Gita, like this is all about the soul and the body. Okay, so these concepts will keep coming, and even greater detail in the upcoming shlokas. Okay, but just to give a quick summary that what are these things, we will and how our this entire bodies is formed basically. This I'll try to explain here. So there are three aspects. Okay, one is the spirit soul, it is the consciousness. Okay, and that is on the spiritual platform. Okay, it's not on the gross platform. Okay, so that spirit soul is very small. We will see the size. Actually, Bhagavad Gita mentions the size of that spirit soul also. Okay, so in the upcoming verses we will see that. So it's very, very small, very tiny particle. Okay, and this spirit soul is covered by something called as a subtle body. Okay, so subtle body is another. It's on a subtle platform. We cannot see it. It comprises of mind, intelligence, and false ego. Okay, these three together comprise to be the subtle body. Okay, and on top of the subtle body, there is another layer which is the gross body. Okay, gross body is the one that we see. Okay, which is created of five elements. Five elements are earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Okay, so these together combine, and like the spirit soul resides in the within the two layers. Okay, one is the subtle body, and on top of the subtle body is the gross body. Okay, so what we see is the gross body, and when we say that the life air has moved out of the body, that means only the subtle body is dead now. Sorry, only the gross body is dead now. The subtle body goes on. Okay, and it takes another gross body, and that's how the transmigration of soul happens. Okay, from happening. Yeah. Is there any question? Okay. Okay. That's all. So this was the concept of subtle body and the gross body. So gross body is what we can see. Yeah, gross body is something that we can see. Subtle body is something which we cannot see, and the spirit soul is something which we cannot see. Okay, so life air comes out of the gross body. Okay, so it is known as gatasuna. Okay, and agatasuna is the subtle body which continues to live on. Okay, so in this particular verse, what Krishna is referring to also can be interpreted as that a learned person or a pandit, they do not lament for the gross body, they neither lament for the subtle body nor the lament for the spirit soul. Okay, So that means practically a person who is unfazed in every circumstances, that is a learned person, not someone like Arjun who can quote a lot of references from the Shastra, but at the same time he is grief-stricken and he is lamenting for something which is not worth it. Okay, so this is the explanation for this particular shloka. And in our day-to-day life, like whom do we consider as the learned person? Okay, generally what we see around is the person that who has a lot of degrees. Okay, there are someone is an engineer, someone is a doctor, someone has done MBA, someone is a lawyer, chartered accountant, and all these degrees are there. Okay, PhDs are there. Okay, so they are considered to be very, very learned people. Okay, but when it comes to spirituality, all these degrees and the knowledge of all the material subject matters are useless. Okay, absolutely useless. Okay, so then who is a learned person according to the Bhagavad Gita? That we'll read from the purport. So let me bring it up again.
Prabhuji, you are not sharing the screen if you're trying to share.
Yeah, let me share. Yes. So what Krishna is saying here is that Arjun argued that religious principles should be given more importance than politics or sociology, but he did not know the knowledge of matter, soul, and the. Just a second. Yes. Sorry. But he did not know the knowledge of know that knowledge of matter, soul, and supreme is even more important than the religious formularies. And because he was lacking that knowledge, he should not have posed himself as a very learned man. Okay. And as he did not happen to be a very learned man, he was consequently lamenting for something which was unworthy of lamentation. Okay. So the body is born and is destined to be vanquished today or tomorrow. Therefore, body is not important as the soul. Okay, one who knows this is actually learned, and for him there is no cause of lamentation, regardless of the condition of the material body. Okay, very nicely explained by Srila Prabhupada that a learned person, in fact, doesn't lament even for neither laments for the living body nor for a dead body. Like he knows, okay, that this is nothing. Like one who can discriminate between, a soul and a body. Okay, so this is what the real knowledge is. Okay, in our day-to-day life, this say for example, someone says anything to us. Okay, we have seen, like, this is a very common example. Just they make a small remark on maybe on our appearance, on our look, or maybe something about our attitude or nature, whatever it is. We become so disturbed. Okay, immediately, like, we start overthinking, and like we are just hyper. We just get hyper, especially these days in this age of Kali Yuga, right? We become just too agitated immediately. Okay, but the fact is that we are not this body, right? This is what Prabhupada is saying in the purport. This is what Lord Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, we are spirit souls. So we are spirit souls inside this body. This is the body which has been given to us, for this material life. Okay, so if anyone is saying anything to this body, say for example, they are commenting on our appearance, or or something in the way we speak, the way we walk, or something, anything, right? So they are not saying that to us, right? Because we are spirit soul, we are different from this body. They are saying it to the body. Okay, so that person who has this kind of a realization, okay, that person is said to be in real knowledge. Okay, that we are not this body, we are spirit souls. And anyone who has realized this obviously they will never lament for anything or anyone, and will always be blissful, happy, and satisfied in all circumstances. Okay, so this is what we need to understand. Theoretically, it's easy, like, to say that, okay, we are not the body, we are spirit, soul. But this realization to happen, okay, that when someone says something, make any remarks about you, okay, then if you can realize that, okay, this remark is actually directed at my body, not on me, okay, and I am different from my body, okay, then we are said to be, realized in true knowledge, actually. Otherwise, like, if we become angry, if we become agitated, by small comments or maybe remarks by people, then, still we have to go a long, long way. Okay, and none of us are basically on that platform as of now, right? We all are basically sadhakas. We are just trying to read the Bhagavad Gita and trying to implement that in our day-to-day life. It will come definitely, if we sincerely and wholeheartedly, with complete surrender towards Krishna, if we read the Bhagavad Gita every day, then slowly, that knowledge will come to us. That realization, Krishna, by the mercy of Krishna and Srimati Radharani, that knowledge will come to us. Okay, but yes, we have to understand this. This is the main concept of the Bhagavad Gita and also of Krishna consciousness. Okay, so with that, we'll move on to the next verse. I'll be sharing my screen again. And this is the last verse that we will be covering today. And then we will open the floor for question and answers. Okay, so I see Ishita Mataji has also joined in. Welcome, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Will you be able to read, Mataji?
Yeah, I have joined from my phone, but I will zoom in.
Yeah, just you can repeat after me. And if
Yeah.
required, I can read the translation, but I want you to.
I will read it, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Just please repeat after me. Natve vaham tunasam.
Natve evaham jatuna samham.
Natvam neme janadhipaha.
Natvam neme janadhipa.
Na chaiva na bhavishyamah.
Na cheva na bhavishyama.
Sarve vayam atah param.
Sarve vayam mata param.
Just read the translation and not the purport.
Right, Prabhuji. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all the kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be.
Very important verse that Krishna is saying, right? So first he gives the concept of body and soul, right? And then now he's saying that we all are eternal. Okay, so there was not a time when I was not existing, when you were not existing, and when all these things were not existing. Neither there will be any time in future where I will cease to exist, or you will cease to exist, or these kings will cease to exist, or all the people on the battlefield of Kurukshetra will cease to exist. Okay, that means we all are eternal. Krishna is eternal, and along with him, we all are eternal. That is what Krishna is saying. So there is no need to lament for anything or anyone, right? So this is the knowledge, which Krishna is trying to, and that is the reason why, we have seen that this chapter number 2 is very, very important, especially like if we lose our near and dear ones. Okay, at that time, or if we are going through very tough times in our lives. Okay, some any like material situation you can consider, right? Some people go through troublesome marriage, or some people go through breakups, some people go through difficult times in their workplaces. Okay, so or maybe we lose some very near and dear ones. Okay, so in that circumstances, if someone tries to read this chapter number 2 of Bhagavad Gita very, very scrutinizingly, okay, then this actually helps a lot. This particular chapter gives you those realizations which we generally tend to forget in our day-to-day lives, because we are busy with so many other like mundane activities. Okay, so it's a very important chapter, and you can see that in the 12th verse itself, Krishna is giving us a big concept. Okay, that there was neither a time where I was not there, there was neither a time when you were not there, There was neither a time when all these kings present on the battlefield of Kurukshetra were not there. And neither there will be a time in future where I will not be present, where you will be not be present, and when all these people will not be present. So basically, this is what the transmigration of soul is. The spirit soul is eternal. It simply migrates from one body to another. Yes, with time, definitely we will be around different set of peoples and relatives. Today, we are surrounded by a certain set of people whom we call our relatives, our friends, and our acquaintances, and all those things. Yes, that arrangement is going to change. Okay, but one thing which is going to remain common in each and every lifetime, whether we take birth in this material world or whether we break this cycle and go back to the spiritual world, is that Krishna will always be present as the Paramatma in the hearts of each and every living entity. Okay, so this is something which we need to understand. And here Krishna is giving the concept of body and soul to Arjun. Okay, it's a very nice counter argument, okay, that Krishna is putting forward now. When Arjun said initially in the first chapter that how can I kill my own kinsman? Okay, so that's what, how can I kill my own kinsman? How can I kill my own relatives? And that's what Krishna is saying, that you are under an illusion that, okay, you are calling them as your relatives, but look, these people are eternal spirit souls, right? They were there before, and they will be there in the future also. Yes, just that the arrangement of people around us, that is going to change once the soul transmigrates from one body to another. Simple, right? So this sloka is very important sloka to get a clear understanding of our identity, okay, and our individuality, that who we are, okay. And also very important sloka to understand, another fact, that there is a widespread philosophy which is known as the Mayavad philosophy, okay, and that has spread all across the world, okay. And what this Mayavad philosophy says, it says that once we attain liberation, we simply merge into the light, okay, or the supreme soul or the supreme consciousness. There are different names which are given, okay. So this is a very, what to say, a ridiculous philosophy, okay, and we should not be fooled by this Mayavad philosophy. And they give a very nice, some nice analogies actually, to prove their point. For example, one analogy which is widely given by these Mayavadis is that just like a river flows into the ocean, similarly, once we attain liberation, the spirit soul just merges into the supreme, which is supreme consciousness, which is like an ocean. So the spirit souls are like rivers, and the supreme consciousness or the supreme personality, we don't say it personality, okay, or that light is like an ocean, and all the spirit souls, they simply merge into that existence. Now, this is simply, it's a, what to say, a bogus philosophy basically, and we should not be fooled by it, okay. Here in this particular verse, Krishna is clearly saying that there was not a point where I did not exist. That means he is confirming his individuality. There was not a point where you did not exist. He is saying to Arjun, that means he is confirming the individuality of Arjun. Neither there was a point where all these kings did not exist. That means each and every personality present on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he is confirming the individuality of them also. Okay, so there is no question of merging with the supreme and losing our identity. Okay, say for example, a green parrot, if it enters into a green tree to eat a green fruit, that doesn't mean that the parrot has merged with the tree and has lost its existence. Right? The parrot will be very much there. Okay, the tree will be there, the fruit will be there. Okay, all the three of them will be there actually. So it's very, very important that we are not fooled by these kind of philosophies. And and Krishna is actually giving this confirmation in this particular verse, so that people are not misled by such philosophies, such bogus philosophies. Okay, so there is another very nice sloka from some Upanishad. I'm forgetting the name of that Upanishad, but yeah, let me quickly check on that. Let me quickly check. Yeah, I think it's in the Shvetasvatara Upanishad. Shvetasvatara Upanishad, and it says Nityo Nityanam Chetnas Chetnanam Eko Bahunam Vidhati Kaman. So this particular shloka, Nityo Nityanam Chetnas Chetnanam, it means that there is one personality. Okay, it's not saying that it's a formless thing or it's a light or something. It's a personality, it's a person. Okay, there is one personality who is eternal and the supreme consciousness, and that is Krishna. We all know that. Okay, the Shastras are full of such references. Okay, who is maintaining everyone and everything. Okay, and and Bahunam, Eko Bahunam, right? It means that many living entities, okay? But they are also full of consciousness, but they are all maintained by the Supreme Lord Krishna, okay? So here also, like, we are getting like a confirmation that the personality is there, the individuality is there, and that personality is maintaining everyone. Okay, no, there is no concept of merging into the supreme and becoming one with. Because, like that understanding is basically one level of liberation. Like, as we had seen that the supreme absolute truth can be realized in three aspects. Okay, one is the Brahman, second is the Paramatma, and third is the Bhagwan. Okay. So the Brahman aspect, what happens is the Brahman is something, is the, what can I say? It's a light, or it's an effulgence of Krishna, basically coming out of the body of Krishna. So when a spirit soul attains liberation, like some of the spirit souls, they just simply keep wandering in that effulgence, which is basically Brahma Jyoti, right, which is coming out of the body of Krishna. So that is what Mayavadi considers as merging with the supreme. Okay. But then a spirit soul is very active by nature. Okay, they cannot be eternally present in that Brahma Jyoti. Very soon, they will get bored. They will be hankering for some activity, and if they are not able to get into some Vaikuntha planet, they will ultimately fall down from that position. Okay. So it's a very dangerous place to be. I mean, this Mayavadi concept is a partial understanding, okay, and it's a kind of a bogus philosophy. So we should not be, buying such philosophies. Okay, we have to be very careful that what we are reading, what we are watching on the internet. There are so many people, okay, who are giving these spiritual teachings. So we have to be very judicious about that. Okay, that to whom we are listening. Okay, so but they sometimes also give some counter arguments. Okay, one argument what they give, the Mayavadis, is that individuality is only in material condition. Okay, in spiritual condition there is no individuality. Everything is merged. There is just one Brahman, or which they call as Parabrahma, and everything is inside that, and all those things. Okay, so then if that is the case, then how is Krishna confirming his individuality, right? Krishna is not material. Krishna's body is not material, right? Whenever Krishna appears, he appears in his actual, spiritual form. We will see Krishna has confirmed that in the future verses, especially in chapter number 4. Okay, so Krishna's full body is spiritual, and in the Brahma Samhita also, like the first shloka itself, chapter number 5, first shloka Brahma Samhita, right? It says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigrah Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Okay, so he's saying, Lord Brahma is saying, Ishvara Parama Krishna, that is, there's one supreme controller, Parama, and his name is Krishna. Okay, Satchidananda Vigraha. So Vigraha means form or body. Okay, and that body of Krishna is Satchid and Anand. That means it is full of knowledge, bliss, and full of knowledge and bliss, right? Satchid and Anand. Okay, it's eternal. It's eternal. It's full of knowledge and bliss. So that means it's a spiritual form. So when Krishna is confirming his own individuality, that okay, there was not a time where I was not present, there will not be a time when I will not be present. That means this concept that or the argument which the Mayavadis give, that individuality is only in material condition, is baseless. Okay, because Krishna himself is confirming that he is present, he was present, and he will be present all the time. That means that individuality exists even in the spiritual condition. It's not dependent on any material condition or anything. Okay, so and why should we accept Krishna's statements? Like sometimes they may even argue to this point also. Okay, why should we consider? So very nicely Srila Prabhupada is countering that in the purport. Let me share the screen.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, which shloka we are doing?
We are discussing chapter number 2, shloka number 12, Mataji.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay, so Let me quickly find that. Yes. One cannot have the taste of honey until one opens up the bottle. Similarly, the mysticism of the Bhagavad Gita can be understood only by the devotees, and no one else can taste it, as stated in the 4th chapter. Nor the Bhagavad Gita, nor can the Gita be touched by persons who envy the very existence of the Lord. Therefore, the Mayavadi explanation of Gita is the most misleading presentation of the whole truth. Okay, and Lord Chaitanya has forbidden us to read the commentations made by the Mayavadi and warns that one who takes to such understanding of Mayavadi philosophy loses all the power to understand the real mystery of Gita. Okay, so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually no different from Krishna. Okay, Krishna appeared in Kali Yuga as his own devotee in the form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, and there are several references in the Shastras which confirm this particular fact. So if Krishna himself is asking us to stay away from such kind of commentaries and such kind of explanations, then we should not be doing that. Okay, if individuality refers to the empirical universe, then there is no need of teaching by the Lord. Okay, the popularity of the plurality of the individual soul and the Lord is an eternal fact and is confirmed by the Vedas and as mentioned above. Okay, and there was another thing. Yeah. So a common man with all the 4 defects. Okay, the Gita is above such literature. No mundane book can be compared with Bhagavad Gita. Okay, when one accepts Krishna as an ordinary man, then Gita loses all the importance. Okay, so why the question was, why should we take this from Krishna? Okay, so that means if you are considering that Krishna is an ordinary man, then then Gita loses all the importance. What is the point of reading the Bhagavad Gita? What is the point of sitting in a class like this? And what is the point of trying to go shloka by shloka and doing such hard work every week, right? Coming and then compromising on your Saturday and weekends and everything, right? Why are we doing that? Because Krishna is not an ordinary person. We all know that there are ample references in the Shastra that confirm that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and whatever is he's saying is simply like divine. Okay, it's just transcendental words basically, right? It's not belonging to this material universe. So that is the reason why we take Krishna to be the words of Krishna to be absolute, and that is the reason why this Bhagavad Gita is considered as an absolute teaching. Okay, so it's very important that we are not carried away by such Mayavadi philosophies. We should try to go by the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who himself is saying that just stay away from such kind of explanations. Okay, and we are reading the Bhagavad Gita because it has been given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, and who is eternally liberated and who is the maintainer of everyone. So that is the reason why we are taking all these teachings from Lord Krishna. And when Krishna is confirming his individuality, there is no point. There should not be any iota of doubt in the minds of people that we spirit souls will also be individuals, and ultimately we will be serving Krishna in either in one of the Vaikuntha planets or in the Golok Vrindavan. Okay, people who try to understand the Bhagavad Gita in the light of Mayavad concoctions, okay, are basically, as we have seen in the purport, like you all can go and read by yourselves, once we are done with this session, that in the purport, Srila Prabhupada compares them to honeybees. And these Mayavadis are like those honeybees who are basically sitting on a jar of honey which is completely locked. So how can they taste the honey inside, right? In order to taste the honey, you need to open the jar. Okay, so similarly, these Mayavadi philosophies is nothing but a futile attempt, to explain Bhagavad Gita in their own concocted way. But real understanding of Bhagavad Gita comes for the devotees. Okay, for the devotees of Krishna who actually open that jar of honey and taste the honey inside. Okay, so who is a devotee? Which people or which set of people can be considered as devotees or devotees of Krishna? That means one who follow the instructions of Krishna. okay, word by word. And we will see that in the 4th chapter, Krishna has confirmed this also, right? That what is the qualification of reading and understanding the Bhagavad Gita? He says, Bhakto sime sakha cheti rahasya dhetaduttamam, right? That means only those people who are in a non-envious, friendly disposition towards Krishna, they and only they can understand the exact, the realizations. They can realize the Bhagavad Gita, they can realize the teachings of Bhagavad Gita in the day-to-day lives. Otherwise, anyone who reads the Bhagavad Gita in a challenging mood, with people who are envious towards Krishna, people who want to be all powerful, okay, or they think that okay, one day humans can also become like gods, right? If those kind of mentality is there, then I think it's very, very difficult to understand the why. I think, I mean, it is Krishna is confirming, right, that it is very difficult for them to understand the Bhagavad Gita. They will never ever able to understand that. It will be like a mystery for them. Rahasya Deta Uttamam. Okay, so these were some of the important learnings from this particular verse. Another important learning is another important learning I would like to touch upon is that devotees are the ones who keep chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, okay, and they read the Bhagavad Gita every day. So what this Hare Krishna Mahamantra does is that it keeps on cleansing us from within. Okay, so by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, then over a period of time, what will happen that by the mercy of the Lord, we will get the knowledge, by which we will be able to understand the Bhagavad Gita in the right perspective. Okay, so and we will also get that the knowledge and the spiritual strength, okay, to implement that in our day-to-day lives. Okay, that is also very important. So chanting is very, very important, and one should never give up, like in under any circumstances whatsoever, just keep chanting. Okay, never let go of chanting, because that is what will elevate us to the platform of understanding the Bhagavad Gita correctly. Okay, and fortunately, each and every single one of you who is present here, or the people who are following Krishna Bhakti all over the world, okay, not just in ISKCON, but in all the other sampradayas, okay, they all have a natural inclination towards the Bhakti, okay, Bhakti of Lord Krishna, towards Krishna, towards the Bhagavad Gita, to read the Bhagavad Gita, to understand the Bhagavad Gita, okay. That is the reason why you all are sitting here on a Saturday evening, okay. And this is very, very rare in this age of Kali Yuga. It's a very rare quality. Okay, it is not found in everyone. Just look around and you will get the answers. People are busy. Like today, I can just walk up to my window, look outside. The road is there, and there is a traffic jam. Why? People are just simply going to spend their Saturday evening somewhere, either in malls, or maybe they will be dining out. They will be going to movies or anything. How many people are actually sitting in a session like this trying to understand Bhagavad Gita verse by verse, right? Very few people. Okay, so you all are very, very fortunate. Okay, so now because this inclination is already there, this natural inclination is already there in all of you, this is a piece of advice from my side, that never ever get attracted by these arguments of the Mayavadis, or just try to stay away from this Mayavad philosophy. If you have any questions, if you have any doubts, you can come to me. You can go to any senior devotees of ISKCON and get your doubts cleared, that Prabhuji, is this concept right? Is this concept right? And are we following this at ISKCON? Okay, is it Mayavad or non-Mayavad? Okay, like that. Okay, just keep yourself away from that. Just follow the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, and then in that way, this inclination will be there, till the end of your life. Okay, and then you will be able to perfect your human life. But if we are carried away by this, bogus philosophies, which are, just very widely spread, and people are all around are there, speakers are there, and some videos are there, right? Then what will happen if we are inclined towards them? One day we will lose this natural inclination towards Krishna, and ultimately we will lose the goal of the ultimate goal of this human life, which is to break the cycle of life and death. So two very important learnings that we have got from this particular verse is that we all are individuals. Krishna is an individual, and we will continue to be individuals eternally. Okay, this is the clear translation of this particular verse. Second, we need to be very careful when we are reading or hearing or watching the videos online, okay, or online or offline, whatever. Okay, we have to be very careful the content that we are seeing. If there are any doubts, just come to me, go to any senior devotees of ISKCON and get those doubts clarified. Okay. So with that, I would like to conclude today's session. I think three very important verses were covered today, and another three very important will be covered next week. Okay, and from that point onwards, from next to next week onwards, we will try to cover more and more verses. Okay, so I would like to open the floor for question and answers now. If there are any questions, then or any realizations, then please you are free to unmute yourselves and ask them or share your realizations.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Nice to see you, Mataji.
Okay, so Prabhuji, I always have this question that when we say that the Lord is sitting as a Paramatma in our heart, and when we die, or so what happens? Like suppose we transit like to spiritual world, then the heart is the material body, right? Then where is
yeah, I understood. Then how the Paramatma is there? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a very nice question, Mataji. Okay. Very nice and very deep question also. So we first need to...
Prabhuji, 1 second. Adding a small point to the same question.
Okay.
Also, I mean, since we had that two different bodies, subtle body and this gross body. So once the soul leaves the body, so like, is that the end? Because I mean, that body doesn't have any other souls present in it, or is there?
Yeah, these both are very, very, I mean, they're very interrelated and very deep questions. Okay. So, Mataji, first answering the Meenu Mataji's question, that the body, the heart is material, then how can Paramatma be, and once we reach the spiritual world, then how can Paramatma be present? So, actually, it's not in this, so this Paramatma or the super soul is just like a spirit soul. Okay. It is completely spiritual. As I said, that Krishna's entire body is spiritual, no matter in what form he manifests. Okay. It is spiritual. Whether he comes in a Varaha avatar, that is a spiritual form. Whether he comes in a Kurma avatar, it's a spiritual form. Whether he comes in a Narsimha avatar, it's spiritual form. Whether he is present as the Paramatma in each and every living entity, that is also completely spiritual. Okay. So, and spirit and matter, they do not mix. Okay. As long as it's there in this material body, that consciousness is there. Okay. Our spirit, I mean, the spirit soul, that means as long as we are there in this material body, that consciousness will be there. Paramatma is there, so that consciousness is there. Okay. As soon as the spirit soul and the super soul, they leave this body, the body becomes dead. So these two are basically, if you read the Bhagavad Gita in a lot of purport of Srila Prabhupada, or even in, I think, one of the explanations in some Upanishad also, you'll find a similar analogy. They are like the spirit soul and the super soul, they are compared as two birds. Okay, two birds sitting on the same tree. Okay, whereas one bird is very busy eating the fruits on the tree, other bird is simply observing its friend, basically watching it, eat some fruits which is there. So this bird who is just acting as a witness is the super soul or the Paramatma in the heart, and the other bird who is actually busy eating the fruits of the tree is basically us, right? That tree is the what to say, a material thing, and the fruits is the fruit-productive actions, the actions that we perform in our day-to-day life. We have the tendency to enjoy the results of those actions. Okay, so that fruit is compared to the results of our actions. Okay, so once we go to the spiritual world, the soul and the spirit soul, as I said, that they are two different entities. Like that the Paramatma is non-different from Krishna. Okay, so Krishna will be there, and we will be there, right? So there will be no what to say. No confusion there. Like it's a pretty clear thing. So I hope I am trying to make myself very clear, Mataji. But did I answer your question?
So, Prabhuji, I understand that Paramatma is Krishna himself.
Yeah.
But then, so when we suppose we reach to the transcendent stage and we move to spiritual world, then what happened with our soul? The Paramatma also moves there, but Krishna, that is Krishna only, right?
Yeah.
So then
That is
we
just the expansion of Krishna. Yeah.
or suppose I get another body, then Paramatma, same Paramatma is
Yeah.
one, right? It is like
Yeah.
one
So
Paramatma which is in everybody's heart.
exactly. Now when we move to some another material body, okay, then this question now comes. The answer will be for the Shweta Mataji's question. Okay, that what happens. So at the time of death, when this spirit soul leaves the body, so at that time only the gross body is left. Okay, we see that this is a spirit soul. It is first covered by subtle body, and then on top of that there's a covering of the gross body. So at the time of death, what happens that the gross body, that covering is removed. Okay, but that subtle body is very much there. Okay, so spirit soul, your mind, your intelligence, and your false ego, these four, they together actually take another gross body. So that is called as the transmigration of the soul. So when we talk about the spirit soul, we talk about us as well as the super soul which is there in our hearts. Okay, the Paramatma. So everything, this entire set actually moves and takes up another gross body. Maybe if our karma is not very good, then we'll be taking a body of maybe a cat or a dog or some many other lower animals. Or if we get another human life, then we will be taking up the body of another human being. Or if our karma is a little good, then we will be taking the positions of the demigods. So, that body we will be also getting. But in any case, this mind, intelligence, and false ego, these three layers, and the super soul and the soul, they will be actually along with, it will just go on and on and on. And, this particular concept actually explains how merciful Krishna is. Okay. Like, if my karma is not very good and say my karma is so bad that I take the body of a cockroach in a next life, okay, at that point of time also Krishna will not abandon us. Okay, like Krishna, it's not that, okay, he will say that, okay, you have a body of a cockroach, you will be going to so many dirty places, I am not going to stay with you. No, it's not like that. Even in that body, Krishna will be there, with us as the Paramatma in our hearts. If we take a body of a pig, even in that body, Krishna will be there as Paramatma in our hearts, right? So you can just imagine how merciful Krishna is. We may forget Krishna, right? We may forget him and we may try to enjoy this material world, right? But Krishna never forgets us. Okay, no matter what kind of body we take, no matter what kind of conditions we are living in, he is the one common thing which will always be present with us. Okay, this entire, as we have seen, that this entire material world is changing continuously, like Dukhalayam or Shashwatam. This place is full of miseries and it is ever changing. It's non-permanent. Okay, but there is only one permanent aspect, and that is the Krishna within our hearts as Paramatma. So yes, our families may, be separated over a period of time. Some people will get old and they will leave us. Okay, or maybe, due to different circumstances, maybe we'll have to, we have to go and work in a different city, as I'm doing right now, right? So I'm away from my family actually, right? So there are circumstances where, you'll be separated from your families, you will be separated from your friends. Okay, but there is one common thing which will always be present with you, and that is Paramatma in the hearts. Okay, and when this transmigration of soul happens, it actually happens along with the subtle body. The subtle body is not easily destroyed. Okay, and this chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra that we are doing, right, the Bhagavad Gita that we are reading, is basically to remove this covering of the subtle body also, so that at the time of death, at the time, when we are quitting this body, we are not quitting just this gross body, we are quitting the subtle body also, and we are simply going back home, back to Godhead. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult to get rid of the subtle body, mind, intelligence, and false ego. These three things we have been carrying, over lifetime after lifetimes. Right? All the bodies that we have taken, that has certain, you know, has created certain impressions in our mind, and that very same mind, we have actually carried to the next life. Similarly, we will be carrying whatever we are learning from this life in the next life, right? And that is the reason you see that some people are very talented right from the birth. Okay, like you can see that a 2-year-old boy or a girl is playing fantastic piano. Okay, very nice musician they are. Some people are very great dancers, right from their very childhood. How is this kind of knowledge coming? Some people are extraordinary in, subjects like mathematics or engineering. Like, we simply cannot think like them. Okay. How is this happening? Why? Because this has been accumulating. It's not something that, person is born with, it's not coincidental, right? This knowledge is something which we have been carrying from our past life, and that is, partially manifesting in this life. So this concept of subtle body is very, very complex, and it's very difficult to get rid of the subtle body, your mind, intelligence, and false ego. No matter, a very simple example, I'll just, like cite Mataji. For example, just, we may be reading the Bhagavad Gita so many, in so many times, along with the association of devotees, we know that, okay, we are the spirit soul, we are not this body, and, so many things, right? But if someone just makes any remark on you, or maybe on women in general, how will you feel at that time? Just ask a question to your, are you elevated to that level that you will be simply unfazed by such remarks or such comments? No. Why? So, because we are, even after reading so much, even after understanding, even after attending satsangs like this, we are still so much, identifying ourselves with this body. Okay, that, okay, I am a woman, how can someone say something like, to that? I am a man, how can someone, say something like that? Okay. So this, that attachment is, so this is basically the false ego. Okay, then this is basically the intelligence, and this is basically the mind, which is there. Very, very difficult to get rid of the subtle body, and only way to get rid is by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra each and every day, day in and day out, without any fail. So did I answer your question, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna Mataji. Shweta Mataji, did I answer your question? Okay.
Yes,
Please give me your
Prabhuji.
thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And also, I just got realized one story from Mahabharata. Actually, like Krishna is one, but he will appear in different forms. So one story just relevant to that is he appeared in 16,100 forms
Yes.
to rescue the princesses who were
Exactly.
having kidnapped by Narakasura, and he married at the same time at auspicious time in
Right.
different 16,100 palaces.
Yes.
So yeah, he is the eternal, but he will appear in any form, so to
Correct.
rescue, to help, to protect his
Absolutely.
purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice realization, Mataji. Yeah, so a lot of people, they question that what kind of personality was Krishna. He had 16,108 wives. So boss, you first go and read the scriptures, right? Indeed he had 16,108 wives, but he expanded himself into 16,108 different individuals, right? And then he married all of them. Each of those wives of Krishna, like each of these expansion of Krishna had, like opulence like anything. The kind of palaces and the opulence which which was there, that was unparalleled, right? People sometimes try to imitate him. That, okay, if he can do this, then why can't I? Can you have that kind of opulence, right? So this is something, a very nice realization on your part, Mataji. And yeah, some people who try to compare themselves with Krishna, is, that comparison is really, really stupid. I mean, they should not be thinking that way. Okay, rather than saying something or doing something like that, before saying something or doing something like that, they should first go and read the scriptures and try to understand the concepts first. Yeah. Yes, very nice realizations. Anyone else who has any other questions? Very, very good question, Mataji, both Matajis. Okay, so very deep question, and we can have a separate session on that, but yeah, we'll see sometime later. And some concepts will come in the Bhagavad Gita itself.
The
Yeah.
best knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So
Yeah.
that point also, Prabhuji, I liked it very much. So understand the soul. So that's the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So we are missing that one point, and we are just moving away from the material things. So
Correct.
just thinking of the body, just appearance, how it should be. So that knowledge we are missing. So this point also, Prabhuji, these two are my takeaway points today.
Yeah. Yes, it's very important. Like, theoretical understanding is one thing, but actually to implement it in your life is something really different. It's like anyone can say, okay, I'm a spirit soul, I'm not this body. But are we really, in that consciousness that if someone says something to us, we will be completely unfazed, right? This body is just like a car, okay, and we are like the driver within the car. So if someone is criticizing a car, that okay, maybe your Mercedes is not very good, my BMW is better than that. How will you feel at that time, right? Okay, fine, you are happy with the BMW, I'm happy with my Mercedes. That is the consciousness when it comes to the discussion of cars. Same thing is with our bodies also. When someone is saying that, okay, making some remarks on our body, on the way we speak, on the way we walk, or whatever, it's just like they are making any comments on the car. We are they are not commenting on the driver. We are separate, actually. We are not this body. So this understanding has to come. But unfortunately, it's very, very difficult. And it's all because of that subtle body, Mataji, right? Like, since mind, intelligence, and false ego, these are very, very powerful, what to say, aspects. So very difficult to overcome. Only chanting can, get rid of that. Yes, Mataji, Ishita Mataji unmuted herself. You want to say something,
Yeah.
Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. I had a request.
Mhm.
Once we are on the track with the learning of shlokas, Prabhuji, can we
Mhm.
also have a session from you for, for Krishna's pastimes? I heard it once in the temple, but I
Mhm.
couldn't attend the full session because I had to leave early,
Mhm.
and since then I've been craving for it. If
Okay, absolutely.
uh, can
Yeah,
hear
very
it.
nice. Yeah, I think you are very fortunate, Mataji, that you have this inclination, naturally. Very nice suggestion. And actually, this is my plan. So this particular session, the Bhagavad Gita reading session, now this is going to go on and on. It will be like, around 2 years or maybe even more than that, because the speed at which we are going, and considering my current situation at my workplace, I think this is the maximum that I can pull off at this point of time, maybe 3 to 5 slokas every week, right? So it's going to take some time. So in between, what we can do, because any it's going to be a long course, so sometimes it becomes very monotonous, right? So this is what I have decided, that on certain special occasions, like I can take some sessions where we will be discussing the pastimes of Krishna. Okay, so that is very, very sweet, and at the same time very entertaining also, right? In the past, I had given a few lectures on the Govardhan Leela, which is one of my favorite pastimes of Krishna. So around Diwali, I will plan to take a session on the Govardhan Leela again. And Janmashtami is also approaching, right? It's around the corner, and I think all of you, like those who are in Bangalore, they must be associated, with some centers or some temples, right? So they have also taken up some sevas, and if not, then just reach out to your nearest center and just take some seva. Okay, like it's a very, very, what to say, it will help you to make spiritual progress. So on Janmashtami also, like I can take some sessions. Okay, like Krishna's butter stealing pastime or something, something like that. So yes, very nice suggestion, Mataji. So we'll do that. We'll see. Maybe next week or next to next week, somewhere around Janmashtami, let's plan one session for that. And yes, from time to time. And you are very, very fortunate that you have such a nice inclination. So my suggestion would be that you start reading the Krishna book. Okay. Although Srimad Bhagavatam is full of such pastimes, but Srimad Bhagavatam is a little advanced, right? Especially the first few cantos are actually little, what to say, they have very advanced concepts. So at this stage, I can also recommend that. But yeah, first try to read the Krishna book. Krishna book is actually, all the pastimes of Krishna are actually given in the form of 99 plus stories, okay, and in a plain simple English language or Hindi language or whichever language of your choice, right? And you can simply read them. It's a very beautiful book, very sweet book, and someone like, well, what Srila Prabhupada said, that if someone reads the Krishna book, they cannot stop falling in love with Krishna. Okay, so I think you already have that kind of love and affection for him, because you are hankering for such knowing such pastimes. So I think this book will help you a lot, Mataji. Okay.
Sure, Prabhuji, I'll get that book.
Yeah.
Thank
So yeah,
you.
definitely, Mataji. I think this is a very good advice. We take it from time to time. I'll try to take some sessions on the different pastimes of Krishna and also some important concepts. Like the question which Shweta Mataji asked, that is also one of the important concepts. Karma is another important concept, right? That how that cycle works. It's a very deep cycle, actually. Most of us are living in ignorance. We don't know that what are the repercussions of our actions. Okay, so these things are very important. We'll just touch upon that as well. Okay. So
Prabhuji,
then,
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Yeah. Just like to add on, Prabhuji, we have this Bhagavatam tales by Gauranga Darshan Das Prabhuji. That's also a very beautiful series. Very, very beautiful.
Correct.
Basically for kids, but yes, even adults are hooked, will be hooked onto it. The stories are in such lucid and very nice, beautifully present.
Correct.
So that's the most, you can say, easy way of getting to know the, stories and leelas of Krishna.
Yeah.
So that also, if one can invest in, it's a nice thing. Actually.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's also there.
And I think Amrendra Prabhu also, like his lectures are also, just mind blowing. Like, you can, if he's speaking on some pastimes of Krishna, like you must hear from him. Okay, so yeah. So one important announcement that we wanted to make is that Janmashtami is around the corner and there are a lot of open sevas for us. So this year also we are conducting this grand Janmashtami festival. At most probably the venue is going to be the same, although formal communication is yet to come. It's going to be in the KMM Royal Convention Center only. So for last 2 years I was in the preaching stall, right, and I was actually helping the devotees register themselves for the Gita course. So for those who are new, just wanted to tell them that this Gita course is something which is a thematic course. Okay, we are not going verse by verse of the Bhagavad Gita, but we are taking some verses of Bhagavad Gita and we are trying to tell that how they can be implemented in our day-to-day lives. How can you modify your daily routine in such a way that it is in line with the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, and in that way you will be able to deal with the stress and all the what to say bhag dod of your life very effectively. Okay, will not be faced very much by all these things. So this is something that we do every Janmashtami. Every Janmashtami we launch this Gita course, and this is how new devotees are actually are joining our congregation. So our congregation has grown over a period of time. Like I have been a part of ISKCON since 2020, and I have seen it grow. And this Gita course is a very an important aspect of this congregational growth actually. Okay, so we register people there. So in the preaching stall this year I am planning to take some another seva, because I want new preachers also to come in. They should also be given some chance to be in that stall and try to spread the message. And at the same time there is a lot of seva opportunities. Okay, what we do is something called as cook for Krishna. Okay, that means you can cook anything at your home, but there are a few things that has to be kept in mind. The food should be completely sattvic. Okay, that means it should not contain any onion, it should not contain any garlic, and it should not be smelt or tasted while cooking. Okay, and with it should be prepared with a pure consciousness. If possible, keep thinking about Krishna, or keep chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra within your mind, and then or think about Srimati Radharani while cooking. Okay, and then when you cook, I think it's cooked in a very pure consciousness. Okay, and Krishna very readily accepts such kind of prasadam. So that kind of cookings or preparations you can do, and then you can give it to us. We will offer that on behalf of you to Krishna, and it will be distributed among the devotees. Okay, so this is the cook for Krishna thing. And another important thing is there are a lot of cultural programs both for adults as well as kids. So if some people are interested in dancing or singing, they can just participate there. And but the thing is that it will be strictly based on the pastimes of Krishna. Okay, you cannot go and sing Bollywood songs over there, obviously, right? So some nice Vaishnava bhajans are there, or the kirtans are there that we do. If people are interested, they can do that. Or the dancing is also same on these songs only. Okay. So it's a fun-filled activity for the entire day, and lot of positions are open for different sevas which are there. I'll also personally try to reach out to all of you, regarding the sevas. If you are interested, then you can join. So this was strictly for Bangalore devotees. For people who are residing outside, for them, I would suggest that they can just reach out to their nearest ISKCON center and just try to see what they are doing in their area and try to get some seva, right? Because once you are physically engaged in some activity, then you make significant progress in your spiritual life. I mean, I cannot explain that in words, but personally, I have experienced it, right? Like if I am doing some seva at the center, whether it's cooking or whether it's anything, maybe taking a Bhagavatam class, or even washing utensils at the center, or even if I go on a yatra with the devotees, right? It's a very, very different experience. Like nothing can match that, and your faith in Krishna will just increase many folds. So just please take any seva, right? Whatever you can, whatever is your capability, whatever time, if time permits, just see your schedule, and according to that, you can take anything. Okay. So yes, with that, I would like to conclude the session today. And if you have any questions or any doubts, please reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to help you out. And we'll meet next week again. Thank you so much, all. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, before we let you go,
Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
I just had a quick question. So I know that the place where I live, the nearest temple is pretty far from this place. But what I know from the place I've lived in, that group of people who meet pretty often, who follow, who read there, I mean, just in one place, even if there is no temple. Is there a way I can find out if something is there near the place where I live?
Yes, I think in the Google Maps, there are two concepts, Mataji, okay, in ISKCON. So one is the temple, okay, that there is a proper temple with gates in there, and there is an ashram there for the brahmacharis and sannyasis who live there and everything. Okay, so so there are a lot. For example, the Narsimha Giridhari temple is there here in ISKCON. Okay, similarly, there is one temple in ISKCON Ujjain. In Vrindavan, there is the Krishna Balram temple, which Srila Prabhupada established himself, right? So the second concept is the concept of bhakti center. Okay, so these bhakti centers are basically small centers. You will not find any deities there, but the picture of the deities will be there. Okay, and maybe a center head who will be either a brahmachari of ISKCON or someone very senior devotee of ISKCON. He or she may be a grihastha also. They will be there as a center head. And every week they will be doing some Sunday programs. Okay, for example, this is the Bhakti Center Kannamangala which we have. We do Sunday feast, right? And like there is a Bhagavatam class, and after that there is lunch prasadam which is served, right? So, and there is also parallel class for kids, where they learn the shlokas of Bhagavad Gita and some stories of Krishna they are being told, right? So that the consciousness is groomed nicely right from the beginning. Okay, so bhakti centers. So look out for the bhakti centers, because bhakti centers are those which are there at very regular intervals. Like within the 5-kilometer range, you will find something near your house. So look for the bhakti centers, like bhakti centers near me. You can just search in the Google, right? It's called bhakti centers near me. So then I think you will be able to find at least something. If not in 5 kilometers range, then pakka within 10 kilometers range, you will have at least one or two. Because I guess you are in Hyderabad, Mataji, right? Right now?
I am in outskirts of Hyderabad, yes.
Okay, outskirts of Hyderabad, yeah. Then, just have a look at it. I think it's a good place. I think we have ISKCON devotees there also. So, yes, you will find something. Look for bhakti centers. Yeah, temples, maybe just one or two temples are there in one city. So it may be a little difficult that those temples may be very far away from your place, but bhakti centers will be there. They should be around.
Right, Prabhuji. I look for it.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Then thank you so much, all. Yeah. Is there anything else?